Good morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today? What'd you think?
Zach, it's Monday. People don't like change, but I'll tell you, I like it. And it reminds me of coming to that TV show Justified late in the game so I could binge watch every season and then realizing what EJ's life is all about back in Lexington, Kentucky, where there's a lot of dead bodies buried in shallow graves. Anyway, I love it, man. It's pretty good. Pretty good. It brings me right. Like I haven't visited EJ yet in Lexington, but if it was, that's what I'd hear on the radio down there, right?
I love the ending. It's just like cymbals smashing, It's fun intro. It's good music. Loving it. How's your weekend, man?
It was really good. Bunch of concerts and sporting events, so nice and busy. Makes me need a vacation from the weekend.
Yeah.
Which is work.
Oh yeah. Weekends are always work.
Now you were rescued off a mountaintop this weekend, right?
I wouldn't call it a mountaintop, but
it felt like a mountaintop.
It did feel like a mountaintop. I decided to go out for a bike ride, and I only did about 100 miles indoors this season, so I am not in condition for riding. And the ADHD took over, and I'm like, I've done this couple hundred times. Just gonna ride out. Got out 14, turned around, got back about 4, and went, I'm gassed. I got nothing left in me. I had some of those honey stingers. They're little gummies that like give you a little energy and a little calories while you're out there. Recommended by Rob Jones and a couple other guys that I know that bike a lot. And it really didn't do much. So I go to the gas station, get some water, call the wife. I'm like, hey, you're probably gonna have to pick me up here.
Listen, you hit exactly on the reason why I don't enjoy exercise like that. Because wherever you start walking, running, or riding from, you've got to come back. It's not a one way. So that would be in front of my mind the whole time. Like I'd get out about a half mile and go, I better start heading back because it's still got a long ride back. But you just kept riding and riding and riding. Thinking,
if the bridge wasn't out, I probably would have tried to push the 25 and I would have been in a lot of trouble.
With your wife?
She the way I have a little bike computer and it automatically sends her my route. It sends her my real-time location, speed. She can see my heart rate. She's like, dude, you are not in shape right now. Like you gotta build back up to that, stupid.
Yeah.
Well, so she saw it and she's like, yeah, I figured we were gonna have to come and save you. You went pretty far. So they picked me up. The in-law, thankfully, from that gas station, the in-laws was only about 2 miles. I made it that last 2 miles, threw the bike in the back of her car, and home we went. So
2 miles is the most that I've walked in 2023. So you just did that to get to your mother-in-law's house. Very nice.
Yeah. I finished with 19 and a half miles yesterday. So
nice. Well, congratulations.
And I'll get out there and I'll do it again.
So, of course.
If you guys have been watching Doug and I on Mondays, we share a lot of stories. It's who we are. We love sharing stories. And so our approach to branding is very much that same way. The way that we promote our companies, the way that we promote ourselves, our technicians, it's very much telling a story, right? I've been listening to Tommy Mello's book, and he references the same book. Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand. Great book. If you want to change the way your customers think, tell a story. And make them the hero of the story. So we'll kind of break into how we've used storytelling within our businesses, within the things that we've done on today's grind. So, Doug, you want to pray us in?
Sure will. Morning, Lord. You knew who we were before you created us, and you knew our story. You know our story. God, you're above. You've created time, so you're above it, but you can be in it. And Lord God, you guide us through what a beautiful harmony it is to live it within your will, but at the same time you give us free will to choose to follow the path that you want for us. And every time we are adding to our story, making decisions, good and bad, um, you're always there for us. And you're the kind of God who does not look down at us and point fingers at us and judge us, but love us where we're at, and know what is best needed for us. So, God, I call on you to bless our community, to bless our leaders, whether they're business owners or managers, uh, husbands or wives, moms or dads. I just pray, Lord, that you will give them the guidance, the words, the nudging to do the right thing to help people in their journey in life, and show them the way that you could be a part of it. So, God, thanks for all that you've done on the cross. Thank you for this community. Thank you for Service Alliance. And God, we are so thankful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So, Doug, you have a company. You work for a company that's been around a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have a story that you share with customers and your marketing and your branding and all that stuff? Do you share the story of Action Appliance, or are you just gonna, hey, we're appliance repair company? How do you guys
Yeah,
approach that?
no, yeah, it's a kind of it's a fun story. It's not unusual, right? A father son business that's handed over to the son, um, you know, uh, and being around for 60 plus years. So we try to add that to the website, but I feel like the most exciting part here is making sure that the team at Action knows the story, because they become your storytellers for you. I remember interviewing. We still have this technician that works for us. He worked for Sears for more than 10 years. And when I interviewed him, when I've interviewed Sears people, it can go one of two ways. They either loved it there and something recently changed, or they hated it the whole time. And so this guy loved it, and he knew the whole story of Sears right at the beginning of creating the pocket watch. I think it was the first thing that they did, and then a catalog. He knew the whole story, and he proudly shared that with all his customers. And so right away, I said, well, let me tell you our story. And he's one of our champions that talks about who Action Appliance is. And that helps build that lifelong relationship that we're striving for.
Yeah, I mean, people want to get swept up in a story. I mean, you kind of made a joke at the beginning about, coming in late to the party and, hurrying up and binge watching a show. But people, we want to get wrapped up in a story, right? And many of us want to be the hero of the story. We don't want to be the victim in the story. We don't want to be that damsel in distress getting rescued. We want to be the hero.
Right.
And so if you can find ways to make your customers a part of the story and make them like the hero in the story, it really is a cool thing. So like for us, 3JM, it's the three Martin brothers, Jake, Justin, and Jeff. Jeff is the CEO, and they started the company over 2 decades ago, right? And their mom works there, right? And so you get to be a part of this family, this long-lasting roofing company, and right, we tell a story, the parts that make us good, and how that as a customer you get to be a part of that long tradition in the roofing. So like just building that story. One of the other things that I found when you're doing branding and when you're telling a story, when you're asking for the reviews, right? If and I talked with my tree guy about this, if you can make the customer the hero when you're asking for reviews, that's just as much a part of your branding. And so it's like, hey, the best way for me to get more business, the best way for me to be able to help your friends and neighbors is for you to go out there and just share your experience, share how you felt about the company, right? You are our champion. You are the one that makes this possible for us to reach more customers. You are the one that helps us grow. And so you kind of shift it from it's about us as a company to it's about you as the customer being the hero and helping us get more customers, helping more people know us about us.
Not too long ago, there was a customer that referred a friend, and when we were done with the repair, the friend was new. The technician was getting married, or planning to get married. So the new referral that came from the other customer was able to help him and his fiance with the rest of their wedding, with a bunch of details, like a couple contacts. So I called the referral, the first customer, and I said, "Thanks for using Action Appliance. By the way, did you refer so and so?" "Yeah, we did. That's my Boy Scouts." Well, and I go, "Do you want to know what happened there?" "What? What happened?" I go, "Check this out. My technician planning a wedding met that person, and they were able to help them with a whole bunch of details." And they're like, "That is so cool." And that reminded me of the sort of hero thing that happens. And I feel like that can happen a lot. It's just being able, you have to keep connecting the dots. Maybe a bunch of you hicks out down south, or a customer refers another referral, and they get you your favorite fishing hole where you can get really big mosquito bites, but get really big catfish. Calling that other customer back and going, "I found the greatest fishing hole because of the person you referred to, not because you sent me money or you got me another job, but because I got my favorite fishing hole." That to me is making some really great connections with your customer.
Wherever within your brand, wherever within asking referrals, because that is a part of your brand, right? Wherever you can create these stories and again, make the customer the hero in that story.
Yep.
I mean, it's tenfold, right? Like anytime that you can share those stories, are your technicians sharing the story of their journey within the company, right? As they're going out. If we're just going in and we're just focusing on hey, I'm here to fix your washer. What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Right? You're not building a level of trust. You're not inviting the customer into the story.
Okay.
Hey, this is very fair. You're his customer, so you get to be the hero in that story.
Just dripping with sarcasm.
But anywhere you can invite that customer in. So are your technicians, are you as the owner sharing the story of your company? Are you inviting the customer in to be a part of that story now and in the future? What are some of the ways that you invite customers into the story? You have technicians invite customers in the story. You shared about your shares guy. He's telling the story. Are you helping all your technicians, all your CSRs? Like, are you helping them to create this longer story brand?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for sure, it can be part of scripting for your office staff. And then in office meetings, you can talk a little bit more in detail about what that scripting part is about. Like, "Oh man, it says you guys have been in business since 1961. What do you have a call taker that's 22 going to respond to with that?" Yeah, I guess. So they need to know that it started with Jay's dad, in 1961, and that he retired, and they got to have a little bit of that story to share and keep the connection going. Otherwise, we're just practically AI if we don't know our personal story, right? We're just going to be very general.
Yeah, this is Andrew brings up a great point. Outside referrals through networking can be neat. They set up big wins and get to be a part of that story. I shared a story at BNI the other day, just in my little 30-second commercial, and I said, "Hey, Zach 3JM, friends don't let friends or brothers," and I looked at my plumber, "get storm chased." And I said, there's a lot of kind of scummy companies out there. There's some that use public adjusters, and they take advantage of that, that standing, and they can then create a future problem for a customer. And I just broke down that story real quick, and it was a real story, and everyone got to be a part of it, and you could see people's faces change, like, oh my gosh, Joe's brother just got storm chased, and it wasn't for lack of Joe trying. And oh my gosh, what friends of mine are getting storm chased within this, right? How can you do that with appliance repair? That same thing can happen. So and so told me that I need a whole new washer. Well, do they take the time to diagnose it? Are you letting your customers go to, are you letting your friends and neighbors go to just some company that's just there to collect the trip charge and run away? Or are you sending them to Action Appliance or whatever, right? To really diagnose the problem and take care of you as a customer, your friends, as customers, right? How do you begin to share that? That's all of this is a part of a brand, right? You guys do a ton of leave behinds. Is there a little bit of story in your leave behinds, or?
Yeah, definitely. Any opportunity. Trying to remember. Actually, we might have taken it out. So we might have taken it back. We might have taken it out. It might be worth putting back in, Zach.
Yeah.
I'll add it to my to-do list, because it makes us human. It makes us personable. It makes us truly local, right? I mean, I feel like if you're a 3-man, 5-man company, and you're going to hire another tech and then maybe hire another office person, when you do that, get your story connection strong. Then make sure that you're not just training them, but you're bringing them into the fold. When we get a little bit, like, we hired 4 techs last year and 3 office people, so that's a sharp curve that we have to kind of spend intentional time trying to get them to know the story, to feel personally connected to it. So, like, some things, they are kind of intentional, but I try not to make them look that way. Trying to start every tech meeting online each week with something that someone did recently. Like, tomorrow Wednesday, I plan on sharing how we had a Bosch warranty customer with no ice maker. And soonest day was like 3 days out, but they really wanted service right away. And we kind of knew that it might not even be able to get repaired in one shot, but it didn't matter to the customer. So we offered a little on-call to a tech, and the tech went. The CSR, after the tech left, ordered parts. The CSR, the customer was calling in to just get pre-scheduled, and she found out why. Because she just got through a surgery. Guess what? She has to ice herself down, right? So either knowingly or unknowingly, the office person and our technician both went and bought ice for the customer, right? The office person, I think the tech heard about it and was inspired by it when he went back to put the parts in, to buy another bag of ice on his Saturday off or something like that. So that's what I got to just share, not a braggadocious share. I was thinking about Andrew's comment about outside networking. I'm in BNI. Sometimes I hear companies like share a story and it feels like they're bragging, and it could just be in my head. I don't know about you, but then there's other times where it's just this humble pride that you want to get this incredible thing out that happened. And I feel like there's a fine line there. So in my tech meeting, I want to just celebrate how these 2 people went out of their way to take care of the customer, So,
and that can carry through if that customer goes and provides a referral, like, oh my gosh, and these guys took care of me. It was on call. They don't normally do this, and I had surgery and I need ice for my knee, and they went out of their way to make sure that I had ice, and then they went out of their way to make sure that they could get my refrigerator fixed so that I had ice again, right? Like, the customer can then continue and grow that story for your company. So it's like one little piece that
Yeah.
like a chapter book, like a storybook, right? It just
But
keeps building.
back to why sometimes I feel like it's not authentic. If we're doing it to impress the customer so that we get another call and some more money, which I can easily see myself flipping into that mode, but it has to truly be an authentic situation, that it's not a gimmick. And I know that's not what you meant, but I'm just saying, like, I'm still trying to understand. Every once in a while in BNI, I hear a story and I'm like, this is like, this is just them bragging about what they do. And I'm like, do I do that? And I've asked people in my BNI group, hey, how does that come off? They're like, we're inspired. We know that action really cares about their customers. I'm like, okay,
Right.
good. So it really has to start from a heart that really cares. Don't take any of these ideas so you can get more referrals. That's dumb. Your story needs to be that you love your customers and that you care about them.
People see the authenticity,
Yeah.
right? They see through the crap. Like you, I've heard stories, and it's like, okay, we're either just making this up or we're doing it to brag. But then, yeah, you hear the stories, and it's like, you earned the right to brag. Like, that is an
That's pretty
amazing
cool.
story, and you're sharing it from this very authentic
Yeah.
place. And so, yeah, it really does depend on kind of how you're doing it. Tommy Mello in the book Elevate, which I've now listened to twice, and I think I'm getting the paper copy. It's in the mail. Phenomenal book. But he talks about doing these breakfasts, and he builds these breakfasts like they have like industrial waffle makers, and he brings all the employees in and they do this big breakfast. And then there's times they do it for the firefighters and the police in the area. And he said one of the cool byproducts is sometimes the local news or radio or whatever, they come and they do an interview. When that happens, he turns it back around. Like, it's not about us at A1. Like, this is not why we're doing it.
Yeah.
These firefighters and these police, like, they're serving our community, the stuff that they go through on a day to day. That's why we're doing this. Like, it's about them. And he points it back to the firefighters and the police and whoever they're serving, homeless shelter, whatever, whoever they're serving that day, he funnels it back to them, and you get that real authenticity. He doesn't do it for the TV and the radio. That's a byproduct, and that's really cool when people hear the story, like, whoa, that A1, man, A1 garage store, they're really giving in the community. They're really taking care of us. Are you taking advantage of situations, not to gain customers, but to truly be a part of the community and to truly bring the community into part of your story, right?
Yeah. If you want to be rich as a business owner, make sure you want to be rich more than just in money. With making a difference in your community, with creating a company or a place that changes lives for your employees. I mean, you have to humbly celebrate the fact that how many mortgages are because of your company's existence within your team, or planning to be married or planning to have a baby. That means that they're here. They're here, and we need us as much as they need them. And so being rich is all of that, and that's what we have to make sure we don't get off track on. But I look at the people in the room other than Saul, and I would say, that's watching the podcast right now. I'm just kidding, Saul. I love you, buddy. No, we do love people, and that's what it's about. So,
yeah. So I love Tommy put it in the book, and it's one of my favorite quotes. I've been saying it for years. Zig Ziglar, you can have everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want, right?
Yeah.
And that's that richness, right?
Yeah.
The reality of that is the mortgages, and now all of a sudden they're able to have another kid or have insurance or whatever, right? Tommy talks a ton about that in the book. Like, my goals and my dreams have to be big enough to fit all of my team's goals and dreams and things that they want to achieve within. he's shooting for $100 million every single year, right? Like it's this crazy, mind-blowing number, but the reality of that is his dreams are so big. He's building this brand so big so that every single member of his team can have their story within that story. And that's what you're talking about. That richness comes from how many mortgages have we helped, how many new homes are within our company, how many, new little ones are around because they were able to have health insurance and do these things, right? I love that. And that's just as much a part of the story, right?
I like, we're still refining our story in the sense that, like, there's things that we've always, Jay and I have kind of said, like, wouldn't it be great to have a scholarship or a nonprofit? Wouldn't it be great to have a nonprofit that Action Appliance could provide funding for and really, make a difference for a community or individuals? So that we've talked about it. So you've got to kind of be intentional. So we're just getting there now. So my goal is to hit a certain amount of money this year so that I know it will be very easy to offer like $50,000 worth of scholarships to like local high schools for trades, right? Trade school training or something like that. And it's becoming a reality because we actually are trying to plan for it instead of just dreaming about it. So yeah, for sure.
That's one of the pieces for me, my personal brand, my personal business brand, right? Like I'm donating 250 to the local Meals on Wheels chapter for all these storm damaged roofs and the ones that weren't referred. So the ones that I've got, I'm sending $250 to this charity. Because we have seniors in my community, I see the coming and goings of this. And so I want to help that charity out. And so how are you pouring back into the community, right? All these things do make a big difference. They make an impact when you're pouring into your local community. And that's just as much a part of your brand story as anything else, right?
Yep.
So
yeah, keep it simple too. I mean, we can overthink it and overplan it and never get it into play. Like what you just did there, I mean that just motivated me. What if I don't make a promise to do it every month, but a couple times a year, just include the employees and say, hey, this is our initial amount, and then we'll match whatever you guys do, and those three amounts is what we'll donate to this charity. So, and now the story goes that whatever it is, if it was whatever homeless shelter, cancer, whatever that charity is, if it were to ring true in a conversation with the customer, technician can say, well, we give, and he'll be saying, or she'll be saying we, because they contributed as well. So
Saul's a little salty because he's afraid I'm going to sign him up for a 5K since he gave me his address.
Oh, he did.
I have a present I'm sending down his direction. He's terrified I'm going to sign him up for a 5K run.
What? Just send me the address. All right, I'll take care of
it. No, but making that a part of your story and making that a part of everyone at your company's story, something that each of them can latch onto and carry that torch forward. It's a critical piece of what we do. And how much time do we spend in training, right? Like, so one of the things that I really like from Tommy's book, he talks about like the typical mindset when training technicians is, okay, you're going to ride along for 3 weeks and then boop, out the door. We just shove you out the door. Like, yep, you're ready to go. Yeah. Are we spending intentional time within that training, like pay them for the ride-alongs, pay them for that stuff, and then bring them back to the store? And I've been screaming this for 5 years. Bring them back to the store and fill them in on the story and fill them in on these other, help them sharpen their soft skills to be able to relate to customers when they're walking in. So it's not just that, yep, I'm here to fix your appliance. It's that, hey, I'm so-and-so from Action Appliance. And, we're a family run company for 60 years. You might know that because you called in, but how are you today? How are
Yeah.
you doing today? Right. And you begin to develop that natural rapport. You begin to bring them, invite them into your company story
It's
by
part of
asking. Yeah.
part of the onboard training is our culture presentation that they'll hear a lot about in our interview with me, but then when they're onboarded, they'll meet with Brittany, our operations coordinator, and one of her training presentations will be about who we are and what we believe in and what our company culture is. So they get it right from the start, and that's important.
So yeah, there's two sides to this, right? Speaking of charity, my account wants me to list all donations, and I dislike that. Charitable donations shouldn't only be for write-offs. So when you do the charitable donation, like the 250 that I'm donating for each complete roof or complete siding job that's done, I'm not doing that for the write-off. It's a byproduct, and I'm not going to complain about that. But I don't do it for the write-off, right? Like if I wanted the write-off, I go and buy a new truck.
Yeah.
I'm donating because I want to be a part of my community. I want
Mhm.
to build that goodwill within my community, my local community, right? Um, One of the things at Service Alliance that not a lot of people know about, we have 10% of the profits set aside specifically to donate, right? So when one of the guys in our community gets injured or something, can't work, is sick or whatever, and there's a GoFundMe out there, we donate to each of those GoFundMes. At the end of the year, our local community, we donate, each of the four of us gets a portion that we get to donate back into our communities as well. And it's not for the write-off. It's because we believe as people, as part of our story, giving back to the community is so important, right? Um, be a cheerful giver. Plant seeds so your business can grow. You can't just take and take and take. Yeah, pouring back.
It's a great line that Saul has here because I'm thinking about it from a type A personality, which is not me. I'm on the other side of that spectrum of more of an enabling sort of a leader.
Mm,
But giving and planting with your team is pretty important. That
mm,
means having a little extra grace and a little extra training and a couple extra free get out of jail cards. Um, Again, not with threatening, but letting them know you matter to me. It's important. And what you did or didn't do is it's really important to us as well. So I want you here and I need you to do those things for me. That's different than telling someone, if you can't do what I'm asking you to do, well, then there's no place for you here.
mm.
So I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle, but I just Saul's statement here. Just I feel like we're doing this all the time. We're giving, and you have to humbly do it too. You can't threaten them. Say, hey, I'll give you one more chance, buddy.
It,
Type thing.
if you build it as a part of your company culture, right? So as we're talking about branding, you have to know who you are as a company. You have to know, hey, we're giving people. We're people that want to give back. That has to be a part of your core values, maybe your mission statement, your vision statement, whatever. You have to know that that's in the DNA of your company. And then you begin to build the story out from there. And then you begin to take the actions from there, being a cheerful giver.
Mhm.
Yes, you do that so that your business can grow, but it's just one piece of it.
That's right.
It's not selfish. It's, I know that if I'm pouring back into the community, um, I'm going to grow. You're doing it from a place of selflessness. You're doing
Yeah.
it to better your community and the people around you.
From the very top, you're modeling it for your team.
Mhm.
Again, you can never say it out loud and say, you see how I cared for you and I kind of forgave you and gave you another chance. Do you see how I did that? I need you to do that with that customer who said they were going to be there and they made you wait 5 minutes. You know, and that's after talking and finding out that tech was just angry to start with. As soon as that customer rolled up, you knew it wasn't going to work out. So modeling that grace without saying, I give it to you, now you give it to my customers. You just have to model it and hope that they find it for themselves. Hope that teammate says, yeah, I got this. I'm going to assume the best of these people.
You definitely have to model it, but I do think there are times where you do have to call people on it, right?
Oh, for
I mean,
sure.
how many times have you called me on like, are you sure, buddy? Are you sure that you're coming from the right place there?
Yeah.
So sometimes we do have to be able to call people when they're falling short. And again, within that, you're demonstrating some grace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely modeling that something that someone doesn't deserve. We're modeling giving them that even when they don't deserve it. And it does. It starts at the top. That's why I said you gotta know who you are as an owner, as a company, before you can even begin to build the story of your brand. And then you just continue to run it and refine it, and grow that story and invite more people in over time. So love it. That's why we tell stories all the time. That's it's just inherent to who Doug and I are. We love sharing stories. We spend more time sharing stories than anything else. We're not preaching. We're just this is who we are. We love the stories. So I hope you guys get out there, love your customers well, invite them into the story of your company. Hopefully some of the things that we've said today spark an idea within you. We'd love to hear your story, the story of the brand that you're building within your company. Make sure you share with us, send us a message. We'd love to share your story of how you're building the brand as well. So see you next time on the grind, guys. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.